I don't believe that payment for order flow or is necessarily a bad thing, but I do not like the fact that market makers can have this information and also participate in the market as well. I believe that if you're going to have a company, or if you believe in customer satisfaction or warehousing the stock so that you can have faster execution, let that be a separate business, and let that be like illegal for a broker, for a hedge fund to also be a market maker and be the warehouse and own a piece of the clearing houses and pretty much have a hand in every aspect of the trade. Because when you have a hand in every aspect of the trade, it's hard not to use the information that you have for your benefit. Welcome back, YouTube. So I've been getting a lot of questions about the Gamestop, AMC, Citadel, Robinhood scenario with the lawsuits going around, and whether or not I believe that there's insider trading or that the market is rigged. With everything that's coming out now, it's actually hard to believe that it's not. Just based off of the information that we have now around like payment for order flow, dark pooling, the amount of discretion that hedge funds actually have as far as for where they route your orders, if it wants to go through like the dark pool, or actually the time frame that it decides to report to the lit exchange. Like there is it's too many variables in there, and it's not enough eyes watching as far as for like enforcing like the procedures. And I do believe that on the other side of all of this, we're going to get more regulation and hopefully more eyes as far as for watching and enforcing these policies. But as for now, and probably like the last 40 years, or maybe the entire time the stock market has existed, it's hard not to see where there can be manipulation. And if you don't know what payment for order flow is, typically that's where the hedge fund or the market makers will give a kickback to the brokers for routing their orders directly to them. The whole premise behind that is it'll allow you to execute your orders faster. So, you know, for customer service, instead of it being directly sent to the NASDAQ or the lit exchange, so that it may take longer to fill that order, because, you know, on the other side of every buy, there's a seller, and vice versa. So what happens is, like, these market makers, they're technically would be considered like a warehouse. So they're going to have like a bunch of stocks, probably some of everything. And what happens is you'll buy technically from them, and they'll fulfill the order, and then they're supposed to report the transactions to the exchange that, you know, this was bought and these lump sums, and there's, you know, a time frame that they can report, so they can be a little late. There's no one watching that, and this is kind of where the discretion comes into. So let's say that they gathered this information. This gives them the opportunity to front run you, which means that, you know, they can look at, let's say you're buying a bunch of AMC or GameStop, and they say, wow, look at all these orders coming in. So before we report their orders, how about we take a position in here, or we take a short position in this stock, and we'll get in first, we'll front run them, and then we'll report their orders. It'll push the stock price up, of course, and then we sell out from underneath them. You know, that's another way they can use this information. If they don't like that you're buying this stock, they can say, hey, let's report all the sell orders immediately and delay the buy orders. And they have this ability to do this. And there's really like no one like watching, or there's no like regulation to say that, okay, well, here's the proof as far as what happened here. You kind of got to trust them as what they say, and then kind of go through everything with like a fine-tooth comb like later. And they have sometimes, depending on like the regulations that they have, whether it be FTDs or the amount of dark pools, they have days, weeks, like before they actually have to report these numbers, or before we can actually see them. I don't believe that payment for order flow or is necessarily a bad thing, but I do not like the fact that market makers can have this information and also participate in the market as well. I believe that if you're going to have a company, or if you believe in customer satisfaction or warehousing the stock so that you can have faster execution, let that be a separate business, and let that be like illegal for a broker, for a hedge fund to also be a market maker and be the warehouse and own a piece of the clearing houses and pretty much have a hand in every aspect of the trade. because when you have a hand in every aspect of the trade, it's hard not to use the information that you have for your benefit. This is what's known as a conflict of interest. It's kind of like, even in the NBA or of sports, they don't allow the players to gamble on the games because of conflict of interest. So you can't say that we're going to do what's best for the customer when you're a customer as well and you have your own sets of customers, and just say, yeah, we have information and the ability to do these things, and we know about the orders prior to them being reported, and we're just simply not going to do that. And especially if there's not any transparency or strict regulation as far as to prevent these things from happening. So it's kind of hard to believe that they're going to have this information and not use it to their benefit. Now, again, this is all, allegedly, nothing's been proven yet. So, we'll see as far as for how this unfolds. But this is just my 2 cents as far as for what I believe needs to change in the market. Like, I don't think there's necessarily something wrong with payment for order flow, but I don't think it should be coming from a market maker or for hedge fund in particular. Like, if there's a company that wants to hold stocks and fulfill those orders, but they know that's fine even if they want to do like a kickback as far as for that, but they should not be allowed to participate in the market. So you shouldn't have a hedge fund and then have a subsidy of that hedge fund also be warehousing the stocks and then giving kickbacks and then being able to maintain that information and pretty much use it to their advantage inside the hedge fund. Like, I have a hard time believing that a company would have that type of information and not use it to their advantage. Going forward on the other side of all of these stocks, I do believe that there's going to be a positive outcome. I talk about this all the time in my group. I believe that traders have gotten like 5 years of experience in the last 8 months. And I believe that the stock market in itself is not going to be the same as far as for traders taking control of their investments, because they're not going to trust the hedge funds, and the hedge funds pretty much not going to be able to short stocks into oblivion anymore because of the retail watching as far as for like the amount of short interest and them shorting shares that don't exist and all this shorting 200-300% of the available shares, which that's a whole nother video as far as for why that's even possible. I just think that the stock market in general is going to be changed. So I do think that there's going to be a lot of positive coming out of this, but as of for now, I don't like the way the amount of discretion that's pretty much given to like hedge funds and market makers. So I do believe that's something that's going to have to change. And this goes back to brokerages such as like Robinhood, etc. Like, when you have this ability to pretty much receive kickbacks, and then we're also seeing documents coming out as far as that Citadel and everything they're posting they're posting documents and transcripts of certain communications that took place. Like, it's kind of hard to believe that you're going to conduct business for billions of dollars and say, oh yeah, we're market makers and they're going to fulfill our orders, but we're not going to communicate under any circumstances. Like, that's ridiculous. And again, when you have this type of regulations or this discrepancy, it leaves room for a lot of information to be compiled to make it towards your benefit. And this is why I think that the payment for order flow, if you're going to warehouse the stocks, let that be something separate, and they're not allowed to participate in there. And if there is communication, you'll know that that's a conflict of interest, so that way it can be strict penalties or federal time. But let that warehousing company or business or whatnot not have a horse in the race, because you can't say that a hedge fund and a brokerage, they're going to get together, and even though they have access to this information, they're not going to utilize it to prevent themselves from taking a loss or to ignore the fact that they can make more money here. Like, when you have access to that information, you tend to use it. And that's all I'm saying. Again, we'll see how this plays out in court, because I know that there's lawsuits and everything flying around right now. So we'll see how this plays out. That's just my 2 cents as far as to what's going on. So I'll be watching very closely. I'm still holding my AMC. We'll see how this plays out as far as for in the future with regulations and everything, and what the SEC is going to do, because I know right now it seems like they're doing nothing. And maybe they are, because I know the government is very slow at something. Maybe they're coming up with some type of master plan or ways to kind of dissolve this situation. But as of right now, I know everything is moving slowly. So we'll see how this plays out. I appreciate all of you. I hope this answered some of your questions. If not, just leave some in the comment section and I'll get to as many as I possibly can. I appreciate all of you. If you have not, please consider subscribing. We're less than 5,000 away from 40,000 subscribers, so I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Don't forget to leave a like. I have all the links to my social media, Instagram, Twitter, inside of the description section, as well as my private group on Telegram. And I also post frequently in the comment section. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. And until next time.